Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today from Washington, D.C., Congresswoman Susie Lee here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
The next time there's a crisis, at school or in your neighborhood, who do you trust to protect your family? Who do you want answering the phone? A corrupt politician looking for headlines? Or a tested leader?
This is Joe.
You knew the answer. Joe Lombardo has served with honor and integrity. And unlike our current governor, he'll put service before self, just like he always has.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org. With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years.
Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Washington, D.C., we're delighted to welcome back to the program Congresswoman Susie Lee of CD3. Pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Great to be here, Sam. Thanks for coming out.
Let's start out with what the Fed did today as we're taping this, which is raise the interest rates another 3/4 of a point there. What is this going to do?
Listen, I mean, you know, first of all, we've been dealing with the impact of COVID-19, the war in Russia, seeing inflation really affect families across the country. And, you know, the Fed has a tool in its toolbox, and that's, of course, increasing interest rates. There's a balance to do it, how fast you do it, how much you do it, to make sure that we do enough to address inflation, but not too much that will push us into recession. You know, we're obviously seeing mortgage rates increase. Nevada's housing market was on fire at the end of, you know, in the middle of COVID, I guess, when people were finding out that they could live anywhere.
Right.
And they were choosing to move into Southern Nevada, which was making our housing market just, you know, exploded. And now we're seeing it slow down. Obviously an impact of increasing mortgage rates, but also an impact of, you know, just things starting to normalize a little bit. So, you know, the Fed has an important role to help us deal with inflation and try to do it in a way where we don't push ourselves into recession. Fortunately, you know, we've seen incredible job growth across this country, especially in the state of Nevada. We've had the largest job growth of any state due to, you know, what's happened with our tourism industry, et cetera. And so that's good news. We're seeing our unemployment rate, you know, it was 34% 2 years ago. It's now 5%, but we still need to continue to work on dealing with rising prices, which we've taken incredible steps in the House. A lot of it's not going to be immediate impact, whereas this interest rate increase does have a more immediate impact.
The thing that kind of irritates me, to be honest with you, is the fact that we see the interest rates rising. Banks are going to be making a bunch more profit. And yet, if you have a passbook savings account, if you're a senior citizen, you've saved all your life, did what was right, and I think the latest one-year CD is under 3%.
Yeah, listen, I'm very concerned about our seniors and many people living on fixed incomes. That's why I was so happy that we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. This takes an incredible step to help people with a cost that so many deal with, and that's prescription drug pricing. Finally, after decades of talking about it, Medicare will negotiate prescription drug prices. This will save seniors money. You've heard the stories, I've heard the stories of people who've had to ration what drugs they take or pay a electric bill versus buying life-saving drugs. It's going to cap out-of-pocket expenses at $2,000 and cap insulin at $35 a month. So this is on top of things that we voted on and continue to address inflation. But yeah, it's, we want to make sure that our seniors, most importantly, a big issue for me is making sure they can age with dignity, age in place, and passing policies that will help that.
Is it ironic to you that the cost of living increase, which is going to be the greatest this coming year for Medicare, is going to be outpaced by the increase for Social Security, is going to be outpaced by the rising cost of Medicare for seniors?
Yeah, listen, I mean, we're seeing that, and it's obviously something that we've been working incredibly hard on in dealing with. First of all, we've come off a global pandemic, which we disrupted supply chains all over the world. And then we just, and by the way, we're still not back. We're still seeing shutdowns in China, which is having an impact. The war in Russia and Ukraine having an impact. But, again and again, we've taken steps. We voted on the price gouging piece of legislation, which would take on big oil. What we saw is what they were taking in profits was far, while they were gouging people at the pump. Not one Republican voted for it. We passed the lower food and fuel costs, open up food supply chains. Again, I think 5 Republicans voted for that. Now the Inflation Reduction Act, and probably one of the most significant pieces of legislation that we voted on that will help us deal is the CHIPS and Science Act, which will bring manufacturing back to the United States, invest in our own production of microchips, which is, affects everything from slot machines in Nevada to cars to cell phones to your microwave ovens. And so, I want to say one thing that's really important part of the Inflation Reduction Act is the investment in helping people make the transfer to cleaner energy. People will be able to qualify for rebates up to 100% in buying, more efficient ovens. It will help them, make the transfer to solar energy, about 30% on that. So those are significant because, as you know, people want to make that transfer, but they just don't have the capital to do it. And so that's important. But also what happens is after they make that investment, you'll see $1,000 reduction in what they're paying for energy. And so those are all steps that are important, which, by the way, that in addition, it will reduce the federal deficit by $300 billion. And so these are steps that we're taking. Again, I wish they were all immediate. They're not immediate, but they are showing the American people that we are willing to take up legislation and put people over politics, get money into their pockets and help them deal with what we have seen in terms of rising costs as a result of this pandemic and the war.
All right, so all of those things in an ideal world are great. But then you have a situation where we've seen in California and Nevada here in the last week or so with the heat wave, cut back on using electricity because otherwise the grid is going to collapse and we're going to have rolling blackouts. And at the same time today, the LA Times is reporting that California wants to get diesel trucks off the road and change over to an all-electric system. are we prepared in any way to be doing this as fast as we're doing it? Because it seems to me that this is a 30 to 50-year plan that we should be looking at, not a 15 minutes from now plan.
Right, absolutely. Listen, we are making a major transformation in energy consumption. It's not going to be something that's done overnight. But we can't not make the investment because it's going to be too hard to make any investment. And, you know, that's the other thing. This has been the largest investment in climate change in history. And I would say that, you know, Nevada has been at the epicenter of what's happened. We were at the ground zero for the economic devastation of COVID-19, having so much dependence on one industry, that being tourism. We're also ground zero for the economic opportunity as a result of these investments. I mean, we have significant renewable energy resources in our state. This will mean good paying jobs in Nevada. And, you know, yes, I think that our transformation is not going to be done overnight, and there's definitely a balance. You know, when you want to change behavior, you have a carrot and a stick. And, you know, making sure you have enough balance so that people are making that change and you're not suffering unintended consequences.
Okay, so let me play the devil's advocate and say that, you know, people want to move towards clean energy, but then you have some people and groups within the environmental world who are looking for any excuse to not allow things to be developed.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm dealing with that in my district. You know, we have a proposal to make a Viquame a national monument, which I support, and there's also some proposals for wind farms and a solar farm in that same area. And so I believe that we need to sit down and have those conversations on conservation versus our goal of meeting our transfer to renewable energy. Certainly, and I think that Nevada should play a leadership role in that.
And are you in favor of being able to develop these projects? Because it seems that once a project is announced, that there are certain people who are going out there and saying, well, let's see what wildflower or what frog we can find so that we can shut down this project.
Listen, I think that first and foremost, we know we have to make the transformation. I believe that we have to do it in a way that's cost effective and efficient. And, you know, we have plenty of land. And I think that we need to come together and have those conversations about where we want to look at that land. And certainly, I mean, it's definitely a battle, and it's one that I've been raising across the board as we make this transformation. It's going to be an important issue, and I think Nevada should take a leadership role in laying out how we prioritize projects.
So that we can actually move forward.
Yes,
because,
yeah.
You know, we've got more lithium than anybody, and yet every other day there's another objection to being able to mine this, and yet it's a national security issue.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's take a break. More with Congressman Lee when we come back after this timeout.
For now, abortion is legal in Nevada. But Adam Laxalt wants to change that. He called Roe versus Wade a joke.
Roe v. Wade was always a joke.
Electing Adam Laxalt means giving Mitch McConnell the power to pass a nationwide ban on abortion that would overturn Nevada's abortion protections. Adam Laxalt has shown us who he is on abortion. We should believe him. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Congresswoman Susie Lee of CD3. So no small issues on the show today. Let's talk about Lake Mead. In the LA Times again today, a major commentary piece on how overdrawn the river has always been, because the original drawing of the lines and of how much water everybody could take was way exaggerated from reality. And looking at Lake Mead at this point, Lake Powell, what are your thoughts on where we are?
It's a crisis, and we need to treat it as the crisis that it is.
And yet, we also, just to add another thing here, we also are looking at large growth going all the way from Apex down to Ivanpah in the coming years.
Yep, absolutely. Some of that renewable energy, though.
Right, but I'm talking about the water side.
No. So listen, I mean, Lake Mead is in my district. I sit on the Energy and Water Subcommittee of Appropriations. This is an issue that I have been out and leading on. Part of the infrastructure package, which was a bipartisan package that resulted from the work that we did in the Problem Solvers Caucus, included my bill, the Large Scale Water Recycling Act. This is an investment that the Southern Nevada Water Authority has committed to with LA Metro.
Right.
And LA will build the recycling plant. Southern Nevada Water Authority will invest in it. My bill will allow federal government to invest more than they were previously able to invest in projects like this, and it'll keep enough water for 500,000 homes in Lake Mead. So we don't need to build a pipeline from LA to Lake Mead.
Right.
We just keep the water in it. You are absolutely correct. The lake has been oversubscribed. We have 7 states in the Colorado River Compact. They have been negotiating. We've already declared emergencies with targets for reduction. But we know that these states have got to come together and proactively agree to further reductions. It's as simple as it is.
Not only that, but don't they also have to take realistic steps in terms of cutting their water use?
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at what Southern Nevada has done and the Southern Nevada Water Authority.
We've been
It's
leaders.
incredible.
Been leaders.
I think the only other place that is comparable is Israel in terms of utilizing the resource. And yet, in Utah and southern Utah, the water waste is incredible. You're seeing the same problems in Arizona. Maybe in 30 years, LA will start thinking about capturing the floodwaters. I mean,
absolutely. So, that's been significant in a lot of the work we've been doing. The Wildfire Response and Drought Resiliency Act will make those types of investments to allow, areas to make either water management, water conservation investments, and then, of course, the $4 billion that Catherine Cortez Masto, Senator Cortez Masto, helped us secure in the Inflation Reduction Act. This will go towards incentivizing perhaps farmers who are growing water-intensive crops in arid parts of the country, Arizona, Southern California, to maybe make a change to a less water-intensive crop or even fallow out their fields. Make investments like capping irrigation ditches so you don't see the type, evaporation. So there's, a lot of money going towards helping and incentivizing, but ultimately a lot of this is wrapped up in century-old water rights issues, and the Department of Interior needs to take a leadership role. which is why Congressman Stanton from Phoenix area and myself had a phone call with Deb Haaland, who's the Secretary of the Interior, and said this is not something we can wait for a year on. We need the federal government to take a leadership role because we have seen the states negotiate and we haven't seen the types of results that this crisis dictates us to see.
So that brings up an issue, which is for a long time, the states were talking to each other and they were keeping the Interior Department out of it because every time you get the federal government involved, you're talking decades of legal work to get anywhere. It took Senator Reid 30 years to get the Truckee River operating agreement done. 30 years. So where have things collapsed to the point where the states are not talking to each other? The statement,
well, they are talking to each other.
Yeah, but not very well. John Ensming put out that statement a few weeks ago that was I mean, I never thought anybody would outdo Pat Mulroy in the toughness department.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, he's following in her strong footsteps, and Southern Nevada has been a leader in water conservation and water management. You know, I've been proud to work with John Ensminger securing $25 million for the Las Vegas Wash, which is an incredibly important management resource to make sure that we are adequately cleaning, you know, and recycling our water. And that's important. But ultimately, this is an emergency. And an emergency will call for the federal government to step in because the states obviously aren't doing it on a volunteer basis. And that's exactly what Ensminger was calling for.
And do you see this being resolved in 6 months?
I hope so. I hope we don't have time to waste.
All right, let's take another break. Back with Congresswoman Lee after this time out.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerauer, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Congresswoman Susie Lee of CD3. The Problem Solvers Caucus, a great idea. But you have lost 6 GOP members or coming up with either resignations or being defeated. Where does that leave the caucus?
Listen, we're going to be down 6 members. We're 58 members strong now. Democrats have to join. Well, we'll be down 12 members, I guess, because a Democrat has to join with the Republican. And listen, all 6 of the members who retired did or lost had voted for impeachment. And I think it's a really scary statement about the state of affairs with the Republican Party, where these people stood up and made a stand and either stepped aside because of the threats of violence that they and their families experienced, or decided that they were going to retire. And the whole purpose of the Problem Solvers Caucus is for us to reach across the aisle in moderation, to find areas where we can agree on and start our negotiations from those areas. Too often in Washington, you stand at either side of the room and you say, this is the line I'm not going to cross. Well, no one crosses the line and nothing gets done. And so, you know, we'll be down 12 members. I'm hoping that we can find more moderate members of the Republican caucus to join. I know there's plenty of Democrats who will join as well. And listen, Problem Solvers started with, 12 people and grew to 58. So it's a setback for sure, but the mission still remains strong. We're still going to be committed because ultimately this country runs better when we can work together across the aisle. And I will say that this is, we talk a lot about what Congress doesn't do. And let's remember what we have done in a bipartisan manner. The infrastructure bill, the CHIPS and Science Act. We got some votes on the Safer Communities Act, finally gun safety legislation in this country, and our PACT Act, which will invest in veterans' benefits, those exposed to burn pits. So there has been progress made in a bipartisan manner, and the Problem Solvers Caucus has led the way.
Are you concerned, and I need a quick answer on this, about potential civil unrest after this next election?
Absolutely. And, that's, I think, an important issue. In my reelection, I'm running against a woman who filed 2 lawsuits to invalidate the results of the election, who has still yet to say that Joe Biden is our duly elected president. I think it's a dangerous path. And that's why it's so important. My election's incredibly important. I think that, the thing that makes this country...
I have to jump in here because House rules say that we can't do electioneering utilizing the studio. And we're out of time anyway, but you are always welcome to come back on the program, so we thank you for that. And thank you for doing this.
Thanks. All right.
We'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
On our next broadcast, we'll continue our coverage from Washington, D.C. right here on Nevada Newsmakers. See you then.